Yes, I do. My name is Carolyne, and I'm from G1billion.org, which is a youth blog reporting live from COP15. And I went to a press briefing from IUCN this morning on ocean acidification and their new guide. And I got the impression that the science on ocean acidification is just emerging, and that it's not enough to include ocean acidification in the Global Climate Change Treaty. This is not exactly what he said, but that was just my impression. So I wanted to ask you, is there enough science on ocean acidification to be included in the treaty?
I'll give you one very quick overview and then hand it to these guys. The IPCC chairman in his opening remarks explicitly mentioned it and emphasized it. So we can count on it becoming a significant part of the scientific advice to the framework convention process going forward. So COP16, I expect you'll hear more about it. There are, as you know, slow timelines to get science into this process, and no one knows more about it than these guys. With that, Vicki, do you would?
Yeah, I think we do have enough evidence to be very, very concerned, and it should be part of what we consider global climate change. It's different from climate change in that the mechanism for it is not controversial. If you put CO2 in seawater, you lower the pH. And anyone can do it, and you'll get the same result. So we know that that's what's going to happen. The models indicate that we're going to drop the pH a further 0.3, 0.4 units by the end of the century. That's a huge change. It sounds like a very minor change, but when you talk about the physiology and the biochemistry of organisms, it's a very, very large change. Nearly all of the studies showed detrimental effects to organisms, particularly calcifiers. Seagrasses, on the other hand, are true plants, and they love high CO2. But sometimes you'll get a seagrass that's invasive. So it's doing very well, but now it's invaded your ecosystem and it's changed everything as well. So I think we do have enough evidence to start including this in COP15.
And I think just to, the change you're talking about, right, hasn't happened for 20 million years. I mean, this is a fundamentally long period of time. You've got to remember that our species is only 500,000 years old. This is a very long period of time. The other very disturbing piece of evidence that's coming forth from people that study past, sort of paleoecology and so on, is that it looks now like many of the great extinction events were driven by rapid increases in CO2 that soured the ocean. Essentially, it broke down, the whole thing became an anoxic soup, if I'm not wrong. I'm not an expert in this area, but there's something called the Canfield Oceans, which pop up. And the paleontologists see this as a black line in the rocks, where literally things were dead on the planet for 10, 20 million years. So are we triggering that right now? Are we on the verge of another black 1 centimetre in the fossil record? That, I think, is looming as something that's very worrying. So, with risk, if it's minor consequences, then you will accept, you won't act if there's a risk of X amount and it's a small consequence. If you have the same sort of risk, but the same sort of probability of an event happening, but it's so gargantuan in its consequences, you should wake up and deal with this. And that's, I think, where we're at right now. There's enough evidence now to get us very concerned and for us to now act in a precautionary way, because the consequences are planet-threatening.